I used to think the only thing he wanted was to ruin me. But the truth is, I was the one who let him live rent-free in my head until the night everything broke. The first time I saw Ryan Carter, he was standing at the center of the debate stage, his voice slicing through the auditorium like a blade. He was everything I hated, perfectly put together, confident, sharp-tongued, and terrifyingly good at what I thought was my strength. I was supposed to be the star of the debate team, the kid professors liked to parade around as the university's rising talent. But then Ryan transferred in from another school, and in a matter of weeks, he made me look like a cheap imitation. Every match became a war. Every class turned into a subtle contest: who could answer faster, who could impress the professors more, who could pull the louder laugh from the crowd. And somewhere between hating his smirk and dreaming of wiping it off his face, I realized I was paying attention to him far more than I should. It was humiliating. Still, I told myself I didn't care until the night of the championship round. That was the night the world turned upside down. The auditorium was packed, the kind of suffocating heat where every breath felt like it carried expectations. Ryan walked in late, his suit jacket slung over one arm, his tie loose, like he didn't even have to try. People clapped, actually clapped, as if his mere presence was entertainment. I wanted to roll my eyes, but instead, I just felt my stomach twist. "Don't screw this up," my teammate whispered. Easy for her to say. She wasn't the one about to face Ryan. The debate started sharp and fast. I gave everything I had, every piece of research, every carefully crafted counterpoint. For a while, I thought I had him cornered. But then Ryan tilted his head, smiled like a wolf who had just sniffed out weakness, and dismantled my entire argument in less than 2 minutes. The crowd gasped. Some even laughed. I wanted to disappear. And then came the final blow, not from Ryan's mouth, but from the judges. Their decision was unanimous. Ryan Carter's team won. I'd lost. Again. I couldn't even look at him as people rushed the stage to congratulate him. The humiliation burned so deep I couldn't breathe. I slipped out the back, found myself in the rain-soaked alley behind the building, and pressed my forehead against the brick wall like I could force the shame out of my skull. That's when I heard his voice. "You always run away when you lose, huh?" I spun around. Ryan was leaning against the doorway, rain dripping onto his shirt, his hair damp and falling into his eyes. He looked less like a champion and more like some messed-up angel who'd climbed out of a storm. "Leave me alone," I muttered, trying to push past him. But he blocked me with one arm. "Why? So you can pretend I don't exist." "You don't exist," I snapped. "Not to me." His smirk faltered. For a fraction of a second, something softer flickered in his eyes. Hurt, maybe, or loneliness. It vanished just as quickly, replaced by that maddening arrogance. "You're lying," he said quietly. I should have walked away. I should have shoved him aside, gone home, and buried myself in shame. But the rain kept falling, and he was standing so close, and I realized my heart was pounding in a way that had nothing to do with rivalry. The silence stretched between us, and then God help me laughed. A broken, bitter laugh. "You're right. I hate you so much. I can't stop thinking about you." His breath caught. He stared at me like I just confessed to murder. But then, slowly, unbelievably, his lips curved into something that wasn't a smirk at all. It was softer, almost sad. "I know," he whispered. I froze. "What do you mean, you know?" "I've been waiting for you to admit it." His hand slid from the wall and brushed against mine. Not a grab, not a challenge. Just a touch, tentative and trembling, like he wasn't sure I'd let him. I should have pulled away. I didn't. The rain around us blurred everything: the alley, the world, the sound of people still cheering in the auditorium. All that remained was his hand against mine, and the terrifying realization that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the only one losing battles here. I swallowed hard. If this is some kind of game, it's not. His voice broke, just a little. "You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to fall for the one person who makes me lose my mind?" The honesty in his tone hit harder than any of his debate points. For the first time, Ryan Carter wasn't untouchable. He was human, raw, and I didn't know whether to run from it or fall into it. The thunder cracked above us. Neither of us moved. And then he kissed me. It wasn't polished, wasn't arrogant. It was desperate, almost clumsy, like he'd been holding it back for far too long. I froze, my mind screaming, but my body betrayed me. Kissed him back. For one impossible moment, there was no rivalry, no judges, no humiliation. Just us two boys standing in the rain, clinging to the one thing we were never supposed to want. When we finally broke apart, he was breathing hard. His forehead rested against mine. His eyes searching me like he was terrified of what I'd say. "I don't know what this means," I whispered. "Me neither," he admitted. "But I can't fight you anymore." The irony was cruel. After all the battles, all the victories and defeats, the war we'd waged for months had ended not in triumph, but in surrender, two enemies collapsing into each other because neither could stand alone anymore. And that was the beginning of everything. The kiss should have ended everything. But instead, it only made the days that followed more unbearable. Ryan and I couldn't look at each other in class without feeling the air tighten around us. People noticed, of course. They always did. Whispers spread like wildfire, maybe about our rivalry, maybe about something else they couldn't quite name. Every time his gaze caught mine across the lecture hall, I felt like I was burning alive. I tried to bury it, to pretend it was just one mistake in the rain. But Ryan didn't let me. One night, he showed up at my dorm room uninvited. I opened the door ready to throw him out, but the look on his face stopped me cold. He wasn't wearing his usual armor. No sharp suit, no smug grin. Just a sweatshirt, messy hair, and eyes that looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Can I come in?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I should have said no. I didn't. We sat on the edge of my bed, the silence unbearable. Finally, he spoke. "You don't know what it's like, always having to be perfect, always having to win. Because if I crack even once, people stop believing in me. My parents stop believing in me." He laughed bitterly. "So I fight. I fight everyone. Even you." The rawness of his confession cut through me. I thought he was invincible, untouchable. But here he was, trembling beside me, confessing that his victories had been nothing more than armor for a wounded soul. I reached for his hand before I could stop myself. He squeezed back like he'd been drowning, and I was the only thing left to hold on to. From that night forward, we weren't just rivals anymore. We became something unspoken, something dangerous. In the quiet corners of the library, in the empty lecture halls, in the stolen moments when no one was looking, Ryan would lean too close, whisper something sharp, and then let his fingers brush mine. Every time I told myself it was reckless. Every time I let it happen anyway. But secrets don't stay secrets forever. When the dean announced the new round of debates, pairing us against each other once again, the tension cracked. We argued in the practice room until our voices shook. "You're holding back," I accused. "You're afraid if you go all out, you'll lose me." His jaw tightened. "Maybe I don't want to win if it means destroying you." The words hit me harder than any insult ever could. He wasn't just my rival anymore. He was someone who'd put me above victory. The night of the debate, he proved it. Ryan stood on stage, all eyes on him, and instead of tearing me apart, he stumbled. He let me win. The crowd erupted. The judges handed me the trophy I'd been chasing for months. But when I turned to look at Ryan, I saw the fallout in his eyes, the shame, the collapse of everything he had built for himself. He'd sacrificed his crown for me. Afterward, I found him alone in the courtyard, sitting on the stone steps with his head in his hands. "Why did you do that?" I demanded, the trophy heavy and hollow in my grip. He looked up, eyes red. "Because I can't keep fighting you. Because somewhere along the way, I stopped wanting to defeat you and started wanting you." His voice cracked. "And I thought, maybe if you finally got what you wanted, you'd stop hating me." The trophy slipped from my hands. I crossed the space between us and pulled him up by his shoulders. "You idiot," I whispered. "I never wanted this. I wanted you." His breath caught. "You what?" And then I kissed him. Not in anger, not in desperation, but in full surrender. His arms wrapped around me, fierce and trembling. as if he'd been waiting his whole life to be allowed to hold someone like this. For the first time, victory didn't matter. Neither of us was keeping score. Months later, people still talked about that debate, how Ryan Carter, the undefeated star, had finally fallen. But the truth was different. He hadn't fallen. He'd chosen. He'd given up the one thing he thought defined him, only to find something greater. And me? I thought I'd lost everything when he first walked into my life. But in the end, he gave me the one thing I didn't know I was searching for: someone who saw through my walls. Someone who turned rivalry into love. We weren't rivals anymore. We were something far messier, far more dangerous, and infinitely more beautiful. Because in the aftermath of all our battles, we had finally found peace, not in winning, not in losing, but in each other. And that was the consequence neither of us had ever expected. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.